So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by clicking on the PayPal link in the description box, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Also, leave us a thumbs up. It helps us get more views.
Now joining us from Los Angeles, California is RogerStone via Skype to break this down. His new story that he's quoted in at Infowars.com from his D.C. sources that we are investigating reportedly has Seth Rich at the Democrat Party with these same individuals the night he dies.
It is not, under my understanding, the Capitol Police is not able to confiscate members' equipment when the member is not under investigation. It is their equipment, and it's supposed to be returned.
Well, I think there's extenuating circumstances in this case, and I think that, you know, working through my counsel and the necessary personnel, if that in fact is the case, and with the permission of through the investigation, then we'll return the equipment. But until that's accomplished, I can't return the equipment.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences.
And that's the lady over his paycheck who in her position controls the Democratic Party, who controls D.C., directly saying you better basically stop these investigations. Now let's go ahead and go to a clip of Colonel Schaefer talking about these brothers last week on Fox News. Here it is.
So that's why the Capitol Hill police rolled in saying there's something wrong here. And now the FBI has rolled in. And let me give you the big takeaway here. It looks like a foreign intelligence service may be the recipient of all this, and something called the Muslim Brotherhood. So,
whoa. The Muslim Brotherhood? And
Brotherhood.
Debbie, oh, they're going to really say it's conspiracy theory
really
now.
A conspiracy now, but that's where apparently all this has been going in law enforcement. That's why the FBI is now investigating beyond the wire.
These brothers have been kicking around Capitol Hill in various capacities for IT, but they essentially were blacklisted by most of the other Democrats, correct?
Right.
But yet she gave them a home.
She gave them a home.
Very interesting.
And they actually suspended most of their access in February of this year, and she kept them on anyway. So
she's just a very nice person. Apparently it's a jobs program over there at the DNC.
$300,000 being kicked over to Pakistan finally was the straw that broke the camel's back.
But his wife is gone. She's safely over there in Pakistan. Lieutenant, keep covering it for us. Lieutenant Colonel Schaefer, thank you so much.
And all we're saying is one of these brothers is caught trying to flee the country at the airport. You got all this swirling around it. The feds wanted to investigate what was happening inside of the DNC computers. They wouldn't let them more than 20 times. This deserves to be investigated. RogerStone.
Alex, great to be with you and welcome back. It's really extraordinary because not only does Deborah Wasserman Schultz, who happens to be my congresswoman, the district that I live in Florida, threaten the Capitol Hill police chief over the seizure of evidence from her office. But after she is well aware that the investigation has been launched, she changes the classification of the Awan brothers from consultant to House of Representative employees to ensure that they continue to have access to the House of Representatives computer system. This seems to me to be, a crime. This is part of an ongoing conspiracy. And now she's a co-conspirator. And I think this is, while being ignored by the mainstream media as very best they can, not making the front page of the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Fort Lauderdale Sun-Sentinel, this is a cover-up of extraordinary magnitude. And as it relates to the Seth Rich murder, I agree with you. Mr. Rich headed a division of the Democratic National Committee from which documents were clearly stolen. We now know from William Binney and Ray McGovern and others in an extraordinary piece published last week that the evidence shows that the documents were never hacked, but were downloaded to thumb drives and removed from the DNC. So the entire question of hacking of the DNC by the Russians, that's false. Guccifer 2.0, that now appears to be false, is falling apart. And the Democrats are desperate to distract from the connection between the Awan brothers and the now more than 30 members of Congress that gave access to their computer systems to these two Pakistanis who, by the way, Alex, seem to have scant IT experience, raising the question of maybe this perhaps was a Pakistani or governmental operation and the Awans were just fronting. Key point. No member of Congress will step forward to testify against the brothers. None of them will go public, including Deborah Wasserman Schultz. Is this a blackmail operation, or are we not criticizing because it's politically incorrect?
Let's expand on that. If you go back to 9/11, it was in major newspapers at the time that the FBI said it's as if Al-Qaeda had people at the top of the FBI. Well, we know with people like the man heading up the witch hunt right now, Mueller, he has major contacts with the Democratic Party. His law firm gives 99.8% of their money to the Democrats. They get massive money from the Saudis, the Pakistanis. He's the guy that had the FBI in his 10-year tenure take radical Islam off of the list of terror groups when they are responsible for 99% of terror. And then we ask, why is the Muslim Brotherhood being backed in the Arab Spring? Why is Al-Qaeda and ISIS being backed? Why? Why is Hillary staying in the same bed as Umma Abedin and her Islamic family? Why is a Islamic woman leading the feminist movement now in the country, teaching women to wear burqas? Why is USA Today saying wear burqas if you're a feminist? Why is it everywhere? Why is everything Islamified? Why, when I tune into Trevor Noah or John Oliver, anybody that's attacking me, they say Jones is scum. He claims Muslims are involved in crime and that Muslims are unvetted and that some Muslims have diseases, when it's a fact that they're pouring in with TB. It's a fact they're pouring in with crime. Just look at Europe. This is the untouchable God group, and it looks like they just infiltrated our wide-open government. I mean, the owner of Chobani Yogurt, he's on the New York Federal Reserve Board that runs our country, that's more powerful than President Trump, that's check-making Trump with all of these interest rate hikes, battling him. This is just absolutely incredible how infiltrated we really are and how it just gets worse and worse. And now school lunches, not just here but in Europe, are saying no pork served in the schools because of the Muslims. I mean, they are God.
Well, Alex, they're attacking you because you've been very effective about raising this issue in the consciousness of the American people. I know they want to cut Infowars.com off. I know they want to limit our reach to the American people, but they're not going to be successful. And they're attacking you relentlessly because you have raised the profile of this very important issue. I want to address also the question of Anthony Scaramucci, which you raised in the opening here, because I think it's most important. Turns out that Scaramucci is a political suicide bomber. Yes, he may have blown himself up, but he took out two rhino whistling moles in the Trump White House, those being Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer. I have now determined, absolutely positive, that Rod Rosenstein, the number 2 man at the Justice Department, the man who on his own volition decided to appoint the Lord High Executioner Robert Mueller as a special counsel to investigate a matter in which there is no evidence of crime, the Russian collusion delusion, that Mr. Priebus is the one who directed the hiring of Mr. Rosenstein, and he did so on the recommendation of Congressman Elijah Cummings,
wow,
Democrat of Baltimore. He has saddled the president with an ass in the bosom, with an assassin who will cook up any kind of phony allegation against our president in an attempt to remove him.
And now we know why Cummings is always running around slobbering and drooling over Rosenstein, and why he's been on the news saying who he would accept as a new FBI director and who he wouldn't, because he's been burrowed into this whole thing when he's one of the most politically discredited, corrupt, partisan, manipulators out there.
And if you will look carefully at Mr. Cummings' filings with the Federal Election Commission from his re-election campaign, you will see that he's violating the law, essentially living off of his campaign committee and being reimbursed handsomely for travel expenses in a completely illegal and improper way. Let me put it another way. If Mr. Cummings were a Hispanic Republican, he would be in jail right now. We've seen the same thing with Maxine Waters, where she pressures the government to bail out a bank without disclosing that she and her husband own shares of that bank, that her husband is on the board of directors of the bank. Again, if she were a Hispanic Republican, she would be in prison right now.
And let's talk about Wasserman Schultz, though. White women also seem to have this, like Hillary, this invincibility card because they can play the gender. I mean, look at Wasserman Schultz and how she's involved with the DNC, controlling the District of Columbia and threatening the police with their funding if they keep investigating the computers and don't hand stuff over. I mean, this group of people is lawless. And Maxine Waters, according to the FBI and others, is the most corrupt member of Congress who's never been prosecuted.
Fortunately, Owen Schroyer was the first to identify the candidacy of Omar Navarro, a hard-charging young reformer who is going to make history in that district. I was with Omar last night. I went there voluntarily to help in a fundraiser. We raised about $25,000, which is small potatoes compared to what Maxine Waters has, but there's a sea change coming. Watch this campaign and this district very, very carefully, Alex. Final point, and this needs to be made. My sources at Fox and my sources in the White House tell me that the lawsuit filed by the black private investigator, former D.C. police officer, is completely and totally bogus. This man's changed his tune so many times, it's hard to keep up with the truth. He is the one who said that the D.C. police destroyed the computer or lost the computer of Seth Rich. He is the one who said there was a cover-up. Now he's saying he never said those things. I expect this lawsuit to be dismissed summarily.
If you're interested to learn how to create content and spread content, we'll show you how. Go to the Operation How YouTube channel, click on the About button, and then click Message. Send us an email. If you want to engage, become an info warrior, we will train you up.
If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon below the video to get notified when the latest new content drops.
Keep us in your prayers.